this is Charlie from Charlie's Awesome World of Adventures, and today I'm going to give you my review on Thunderbolts. In this one, Yelena feels like she's lacking a purpose ever since her sister Natasha passed away in Endgame. And feels like there's not much left with her life. One day, her boss that Valentina sent and so on this mission to eliminate Ace, an enemy to the company. However, she finds that she was in trouble out with the enemy she was supposed to capture John Walker and Ava, aka Ghost, or as well as my uncle or Robert. Realizing that they are in a trap, the unlikely heroes come together and join up with Bucky Barnes and the Red Guardian in order to get behind the mystery about Valentina and her secret project called Sentry. So, all the MCU movies coming out this year, this is one where my feelings before coming to the film were the most interesting. I was definitely looking forward to the film, and it did look like it was going to be pretty good, other than the trailers alone. But I don't know, I just never got this excitement from some what I did with some of the other trailers for recent Marvel films. It's not to say I wasn't excited. I was definitely curious, and I definitely did get a lot more excited for the film. And when I heard it was getting positive reviews from critics, I thought the only way I'll have my full thoughts on the film is if I give it a watch. And honestly, this was a great surprise. Like, I'm debating calling this one the best MCU film in the MCU saga, in the multiverse saga, but I definitely agree it's one of the best, that's for sure. So let's start with the characters. I'll admit one of my biggest concerns and coming in with the characters, it's not that I didn't dislike them before. It's just with the exception of Bucky, these guys are some of my least favourite MCU characters. However, I was surprised to find that they were handled really good right here, and were easily some of the strongest parts of the feature. Let's begin with the main Thunderbolt of the team, Yelena, who probably has one of the most interesting character arcs of the entire group. Ever since the passing of her sister Natasha, she's been ill with this big emptiness, especially when she doesn't feel secure about her role in Valentina's force, and starts to wonder if she ever had a purpose to begin in with. Especially with all the terrible mistakes she's done in her past as a member of the Red Room. When looking to her character, it's honestly quite complex, making the viewer feel easily sorry for Yelena and all the trouble she's gone through. But a main reason why Yelena that works so well is the performance of Florence Pugh. I'll say now that all the actors do a fantastic job in the film, but it's easily Florence that delivers the best performance, almost adding range to the character and showing her emotional side in the more tough and stressing scenes for Yelena. Now, as for the other Thunderbolts, one of my other biggest concerns was that there were definitely going to be some members of the team that got more focus than others, and others were definitely underdeveloped, with not much purpose to being the feature. I was also surprised to find that was not the case. The only exception I found I was with Taskmaster. I know the marketing didn't make her look like she had a big role in the film, but I'll say now her role in the feature is a lot smaller than you might think. But it doesn't change the fact that the rest of the Thunderbolts also are quite enjoyable, or including Bucky, who's trying to take Valentina down from the inside, Red Guardian, aka Lex, who serves as Yelena's support, or John Walker, the former Captain America, who's not as the keynote orator of the group, who does slowly gets to have a heart, and Ava, the goat, who is an interesting with her dynamic, even if her role isn't as big as the others. There's also Bob, a new original MCU character, who's probably one of the most tragic figures in the MCU. Next to Yelena, now I'd honestly say he was my second, if not my favourite character in the feature. Especially when going into his past and his role later on in the feature. It also helps that while Florence Pugh is easily my favourite actor in the film, and my second favourite would easily be with Lewis Pullman, when bringing this cat out to life and showing the emotional struggles that he would have to face that can be just as tough as Yelena's. And then there's Valentina Allegra de Fonte, who would mainly serve as the antagonist of the feature. As someone who wants to keep a good reputation and eliminate those that would even working on this mysterious project called Sentry, through which he's planning to mark Arcus as Earth's new mightiest hero, even stronger than the original Avengers. Just next, there's the story. I'm going to start with what I consider to be the story's greatest strength, how it balances its tones. In a way, the film aims going for two types of audiences. It wants to try to be a bit of a comedy, then have a comedic edge, but at the same time, it also wants to try to be a serious drama. With a superhero feature showing mental health, and how it can severely affect the characters. It's not easy to combine these two together ever to make a great story. But I was surprised to find how well they worked together. For a start, I think with the humour, it knows exactly when it needs to happen. The jokes themselves are really good, and there were definitely a few that I got also make laughs out of me, but it doesn't also know when it needs to step back for the more serious tone. On top of that, when the film talks about the mental illness and some of the struggles that the characters have faced over the years, it was honestly the moments of the feature where I was the most invested. Making them seem like real figures. These are definitely people that have done a lot of wrong things in the past, and are finding it hard to make up for their mistakes. But there is a bit of effort where they are trying their best, as despite what happened. It also helps that the dynamic between the Thunderbolts is very good. Not only supplying some great action and some of the film's best jokes, but also delivering a solid heart to show how the characters start to care for one another as the future goes on. If I did have to have a criticism with the story, it would be that the ending does feel kind of rush. I honestly like the idea of the ending, and how it has a nice bit of setup for Avengers Doomsday. However, I feel like it came out of no. Oh well, like they revealed this big twist, and then the film goes to the credits, and it's two post-credit scenes, which yes, there are two in this film, so it is what, and they are worth sticking around for, especially the final one, which it does a great job of setting up new plot points in the next couple of MCU films. And then there are the visuals. I know, although many people have their mixed feelings on the visual effects of Marvel films, especially since the recent ones have had their struggles visually. But I've always been a fan of the visuals, also for the most part, in any MCU film, and this film is a good example as to why. As this is one of the more gritty MCU films, it doesn't try to fill the feature up with much colours. It knows it's a more serious feature despite its comedic tone. And it does do a good job of it showing New York is the serious city, and the different landmarks and locations that the characters will find themselves throughout the future. I'll also give credit to the refurbished Avengers Tower, where it was honestly nice to see it in the film, and how Valentina has upgraded it as her new secret base. Ace in a way. The costumes are also a huge highlight in any MCU film, and the feature does a great job showing some updates to some of the newer costumes, especially with girls. To showing how they would fit for a superhero film. And like this, it's on top of that, the CGI and the effects are quite good. Maybe not the best from the MCU, but they are a lot better as some of Marvel's recent CGI, so that is worth something. Which is especially the case if the power was of both of Ghost and Sentry, and how they would use them. But a huge highlight of the visuals that make this film worth watching are the action scenes. Now it is worth noting that they don't happen as often as they do in a regular MCU film, but when they do happen, they become the true highlights of the feature. And they can be highly creative, whether it's the team trying to escape a peril or battles between each other, or the climax actually is on this one of the strongest parts of the feature, starting off at the beginning, but becoming more serious as the goes on. So overall, I've heard many reviews called this one of the best MCU films in a long time. And it's honestly understandable as to why. Thunderbolt also is an awesome and fantastic feature that knows exactly what its audience wants and delivers it in the best way possible. It may feel a bit rushed with its ending, but with a highly engaging and complex story, incredible visual effects, solid characters, does some good humour, strong on heart, really good voice really good acting, and may I add a wonderful music score, or it all adds up to a feature that I know will become an MCU fan favourite as the years go on. I would highly recommend this to Marvel fans, as they will have a great kick out of this. As for everyone else, it honestly does a good job working as a standalone feature, each year. You don't have to worry if you've missed a few projects in the MCU, because the film does do a good job at explaining some of the backstories of the other characters of the team. I knew very little about this team, and its members were never some of my favourites in the MCU, but I'm so glad that this movie managed to change it around for me, and that's why I'm giving the feature a 9.5 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!